I'm a graduate, well, I will be graduating senior in May here at ASU, and I interned this summer. You can see my colleagues are on the bottom, and this was my host family that you'll hear about when we went hiking. I'm studying journalism here at ASU. I have a minor in German, a minor in political science, and a certificate in international relations. I wanted to make them all majors, but that didn't happen. And I interned this summer at the NRFA Bank, RW Bank in Düsseldorf. I was in Germany from May to August, and the NRW Bank is a development bank for the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. I didn't know what a development bank was, and I ended up getting it because my uncle had connections, but I quickly learned what a development bank was. And a lot of people were wondering, in journalism, how did you get to a bank? But it worked out really well. They had things for me to work on, and I was in more of the communication skills, so it was perfect for my major of journalism. I think it up there. I was in Berlin for a month doing a language course that was organized through Vistas, and I met a lot of international friends there, and it was great to see Berlin, and I loved it. And it was a lot of stuff that I knew already from my German here at ASU, but it was great to hear it from in this international arena, I guess. Why Germany? I mean, a lot that we've heard today is that Germany has a good relationship with America, and obviously it's one of the strongest economies in the EU, and I got to see that firsthand this summer when the Greek financial crisis happened while I was at the bank, and I learned a lot about European banking that I wouldn't have learned had I been here while that was happening. And like we also heard, there's a lot of startups in Germany, and many of my friends were actually at startups, one in Düsseldorf and one in Berlin. So I guess that shows us that Germany's growing and it's not stagnating. I mean, I didn't learn that much about finances at the bank, but I think that's right. From what I've heard after my experience here, from what I've heard from my parents and colleagues and professors, it looks incredible on a resume to be able to have gone, not necessarily to study abroad, but to go spend this time working, which is kind of terrifying. And especially on my first day, my colleague was introducing me to the 50 people on my floor and said, no, she's here to learn German, we're only speaking German. Okay, and then the first time I had to answer the phone, I was terrified, and they said, just be nice. I'm like, well, I can be nice, but I'm probably gonna, just offend someone by saying the wrong thing, but it was fine. It shows that we're willing to try new things, we're willing to go out of our comfort zone. Obviously, this is a broader experience, view of the world. A lot of my friends who went had never been to Europe at all, so I think that I thought that was more, I was proud of them for doing that for the first time in like 3 months. And obviously the language skills that we required. I mean, I spoke only German at work and at home because of my host family. They would sometimes translate things for me, but it was only German and German culture and German food and German parties, and it was a good experience. And I think that's where you really get the culture. I have a lot of friends who lived with other students and even if it was international, they all spoke English, and I went home and only spoke German, which was what I wanted, so it worked out really well for me. My advice, I was asked to share advice, again with the language, to interact with locals as much as possible. I think that's where you really get a feel for a country, or at least that's what I experienced. And from what a lot of my friends who study abroad have said, they said that when they study abroad, whether it's in South America or Europe, they only talk to Americans, they only speak English, or they only speak to Germans in English. But in this case, I was only speaking to Germans in German. Sometimes I had to practice my English, but it wasn't a study abroad where I was just having a university experience like I have here in the country. I felt like I was really immersed in the German culture, and I think that came from my host family. They're on the left. It was kind of a fluke that I lived with them, but it was perfect because they have a 2-year-old and me, and I have the same German. No, I was better than him. I could read. And a surprise, I think that a lot of the Germans when I was leaving asked me what were you most surprised about, what shocked you, and I caught that question in the 2 months I've been back. And I think what surprised me most were these stereotypes of Germans. And we have German family friends, my parents have worked internationally. But I've spent the last 2 months really like working on trying to change the American stereotypes of Germans, that they're warm and welcoming and happy that you're there. And yes, they're logical, but it's not this cold, separated group of people that I think a lot of Americans imagine Germans to be. Both my colleagues and everyone I met in my regular life, they were excited to help me with my language, despite the fact that conversations a lot of the times were just correcting me. But they were excited to help me and to encourage me to go out and experience things and suggest what I should do in my time. And therefore I didn't go over there with this idea that I was going to just have the German partying or drinking in the streets in Berlin, which is great for the people who want to do that. But I was really there to help my professional experience, I think, because one of the things when I graduated May, I'm hoping to go back, and this experience just kind of whetted my appetite for going back